It's so crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm, resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now.
Caitlin Clark supporters have been shouting since her college days, and all season long in the WNBA has finally been echoed by one of the league's biggest legends, Candace Parker. And make no mistake, the old guard of the WNBA did not want to hear it. But Candace said what everyone already knew. And now the league, especially Commissioner Kathy Angelbert, cannot keep pretending this conversation doesn't exist.
Women's basketball, for a horrible team when she arrived, outside of LeBron and Steph, she is the most well-known basketball player currently playing in the United States.
Oh, yes. And I don't think that's close.
Because here's the truth. We all hoped that with a new year, things might look different. That Caitlin Clark entering her rookie season would bring fresh energy, a reset in attitudes, even admiration and respect for what she's accomplished. Instead, the exact opposite happened. The double standards have sharpened. The jealousy has gotten louder. And the bitterness radiating from corners of the WNBA is almost impossible to ignore. And through it all, Caitlin just keeps showing up, keeps winning, and keeps driving interest in women's basketball to historic levels.
Highest viewership, which is like average viewership. However, it was the highest peak of any game ever on CBS.
That is what makes Candace Parker's comments so important. She didn't deliver them as part of some dramatic rant or personal attack. She didn't raise her voice or throw shade. She delivered them the way legends do, calmly, firmly, with facts, and with perspective.
And now that Caitlin Clark is injured, the ticket prices for the Fever and Sky game just plummeted to Hades.
The kind of comments that cut through all the noise, wipe away the excuses, and expose the uncomfortable truth some people refuse to admit because this season has taught us something crystal clear. The more success Caitlin Clark has, the louder the league itself seems to trip over its own feet.
The loudest mics, like I stated, are the ones that's race baiting. Not even bringing up the names, but all the people that I'm seeing that are tied within the WNBA media, coaches, all type of things. They are very resentful of Caitlin Clark, and I don't know why. It doesn't make sense when you have somebody that's doing what she's doing for the WNBA.
Resistance to her shine grows almost in proportion to her accomplishments. It's self-destructive, and Candace Parker finally had to step in with common sense. Before we break down her full remarks, let's set the table.
You, even though it's 100% false, by acknowledging we don't condone hate and not seeing that this was a internet rumor founded of complete bullshit, you're lending credence to this. There was no...
And yes, while you're here, go ahead and like this video because for every like somewhere a hater is forced to grab another tissue. Trust me, after Candace finished talking, they're going to need entire boxes. Now, why do Candace Parker's words matter? Because the story off the WNBA right now, the growth, the viewership, the money, the rise in visibility, comes down to one undeniable factor: Caitlin Clark.
Way out of bounds.
This is not speculation. This is not hype. This is data. According to every metric anyone in sports tracks, Caitlin's lifting this league like no player before her.
Stuff that's being said to them, the stuff that's being said to Kelsey Mitchell, the kind of things that are being said to Natasha Howard are actually wild. People have taken a photo of these women and circled a bullseye on them and have said, "It's on site when I see you." Those are actual.
Last season, television ratings shattered records. We're talking numbers that hadn't been hit in decades, suddenly being doubled, even tripled. Ticket demand went through the roof. Merch sales spiked. And when analysts broke down what was driving it, the lens all pointed back to Caitlin. She didn't just arrive in the league, she redefined its ceiling. Let's run through just a few examples. A preseason exhibition game against Brazil, not a Vina regular season matchup, drew 1.3 million viewers. Think about that carefully. Preseason WNBA basketball outdrew regular season contests that for decades barely broke into the conversation on national TV. Then the season officially tipped off and Caitlin's debut delivered the most-watched WNBA regular season game in 25 years. 7 million tuned in on average with peaks even higher.
Clark is getting some of the grossest, most morbid comments, racist, hateful. We're talking the cup runneth over with hate here. Kathy Engelbert, you're no space for hate. Where are you right now?
Not even a month later, another matchup, the Fever versus the Liberty, soared past 3 million viewers. These are NBA-level numbers. But the Caitlin Clark effect doesn't stop on TV. It extends to the arenas themselves. Teams across the league started moving games into larger venues just to accommodate demand when Caitlin was in town.
Kathy Engelbert, in this long, drawn-out article, goes on and gives herself credit for why the WNBA has finally entered some type of mainstream conversation.
Entire sections sold out overnight. Secondary ticket markets exploded, and when an injury briefly sidelined her, demand for Fever games fell by nearly 300%. That is not just influence, that's complete financial control over league momentum. She is, without exaggeration, the single most valuable force this league has ever seen.
Outside observers, our organization's success might seem overnight and even lucky, prepared by a singularly exceptional group of college players coming into the WNBA. However, we could not have capitalized on those advantages without years of hard work and preparation. Years of hard work and preparation. It might have seemed like it came overnight.
And yet, despite all of this, the WNBA's leadership and even some of its players seem allergic to admitting the obvious. Rather than embrace the generational moment they're living through, they bend themselves into knots, inventing narratives about shared credit or deflecting to topics unrelated to what's happening on the court.
They just can't. They just can't not even wrap their head around. They can't just accept, okay, this person is more popular than me, or this person is more popular than the player that we want to push.
Instead of celebrating record-breaking growth, the headlines after Caitlin's debut were dominated by scandal, an investigation into alleged hate speech that had no real basis, but that managed to overshadow what could have been framed as one of the most historic moments in league history. Thesis, what Candace Parker was really driving at, because she's seen this before. She knows the league's tendency to eat itself alive, to turn moments of triumph into moments of infighting and distraction. And she knows how dangerous that becomes when the league's growth is tethered so directly to one superstar.
In these arenas where there are 15 to 20,000 people in the stands, they are in front of people that they haven't been in front of before. That is an opportunity for all of us fans to get to know all the players on the court, all of the players in the WNBA, to pick new favorite players, to pick other teams that we want to follow.
Consider this. Economists project Caitlin Clark could generate over $1 billion in value for the WNBA this year alone. Take her out of the equation, either by injury, burnout, or by simply driving her away with relentless hostility, and that growth disappears overnight. That's not hyperbole. That's reality.
I think it's all about money, marketing, and we cannot deny what Caitlin Clark has done for the women's game. I'm not going to act like it's something that we don't see. She's had a huge effect, called the Caitlin Clark effect. Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has
Without Caitlin Clark, the next TV deal isn't the monster payday players like Nfisa Collier. Imagine. Without Caitlin Clark, those collective bargaining dollars Angel Ree and others are counting on don't show up. The goose laying the golden egg can't be taken for granted. But that's exactly what's happening.
Down to the fact that there were an abundance of women in the WNBA doing tremendous work on behalf of the WNBA and the game of basketball, and you just sense that folks were feeling an absence of appreciation.
And to make matters worse, much of the criticism directed at Caitlin has gone far beyond basketball. She's been mocked, belittled, even targeted with genuinely hostile personal attacks. When fans on social media resort to conspiracy theories as ridiculous as accusing her of using her assistant coach's baby as a prop, you know the hysteria has spun out of control. These aren't just competitive jabs. They're coordinated attempts to legitimize her fame and her following. And through all of it, the WNBA itself has stayed silent. No public statements defending her, no condemnation of vile harassment, nothing. For a league that loves to brand itself as inclusive, progressive, and protective of its players, the hypocrisy has been glaring. Candace Parker wasn't going to let that slide. She came on First Take with Stephen A. Smith, who himself has been one of the few prominent voices willing to call all this jealousy what it is, and she dropped the truth everyone in that studio and across the league needed to hear. That Caitlin Clark is not the problem. That the jealousy and resentment aimed at her is holding women's basketball back,